have a special guest here at the Tavern today. Today we have Mr. All Gas, No Brakes. He's straight brazy, Brayden Lee. Brayden, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, Chad. And Chad, how are you guys doing today?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Doing well.
Happy to have you on the show today.
Yeah, very excited to be here. Very excited.
Definitely, man. So let's just get right into it. We'll get straight into it. What made you decide to be more, what is kind of your early fandom? Let's get into your early fandom of wrestling first.
Yeah, definitely. So as an early fan, I remember I was exposed to wrestling just through little like snippets of it, actually, whether it be through like video games or like whatever. Like I never really watched wrestling. That wasn't like my first introduction to it, because my parents, they used to watch wrestling. They used to, but they never really got into it. They weren't like super fans or anything like that. So I get into wrestling just by seeing like the video games and the little bitty clips of it and kind of picking up on it until I was actually channel surfing one night and I came across TNA at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
And this is like prime, like AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe. It's like that era of
the
TNA.
best era.
So like just, where like wrestling was just like amazing there. And I remember because I had watched like bits of WWE here and there, I remember thinking, my gosh, this is even better than WWE. So I was like, I'm gonna watch this from now on. So my early fandom is actually deeply rooted in like mid 2000 TNA. Like my favorite wrestler was Amazing Red. Like I would, as a kid, I didn't know about like the internet or anything like that. So I couldn't like get on the computer and like look up like who was going to be on the show or anything like that. I didn't know any of that existed, or even if it did, I don't know. But I would sit there and I'd be on the couch just waiting the whole show for Amazing Red to come out. And I would get so mad if he wouldn't. I would be like, gosh, he's the best wrestler on their cards. Like, why are they not using him? I'd get so angry. And eventually eventually through like just sitting through the shows, I became like fans of like many other guys. I already mentioned like AJ Styles. I was a big Motor City Machine Guns fan, especially Alex Shelley. So a lot of my early fandom again is just deeply rooted in like that mid 2000s TNA, where I mean the wrestling was just awesome in my opinion. I've always been a guy who enjoys the action of it and the athleticism that's portrayed in it. So, and that was like, it was amazing to watch back then. I'd say in terms of WWE though, I was a big Rey Mysterio fan. Again, athleticism, the high flying style, that's always kind of been just something that's drawn me towards wrestling. That's what I love about it. And so that's why those are generally my answers for where my early fandom lies in, is Rey Mysterio and Amazing Red. That's what did it for me.
That's awesome.
I really like that your early fandom comes from early 2000s TNA and the fact that you didn't have internet to kind of keep up with it. I think that organically makes you a not a better wrestler, almost a better wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Because
it could be so frustrating when I would sit there because I didn't understand like anything about it. I would just be like, they're not using him and he's the best wrestler ever. Make me the booker. Come on, I'd get so mad.
Yeah, exactly. So what video games were you? You said clips of like video games. Were you playing any wrestling video games, like any particular ones?
Yeah, I had like WrestleMania 19 for like the GameCube. So like that was like I played that probably until I was in high school, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I played that game for so long. Then I had a bunch of the SmackDown versus Raws, like some of the early ones of there. I forget the exact years, but I had a few of the SmackDown versus Raws. That was a lot of it. Yeah, SmackDown versus Raw and WrestleMania 19. Those were like the video games I played that got me. I think there was a WrestleMania 18 too, maybe. I don't remember. I think I had that one if there was. If not, I'm just making it up and it's a game that doesn't exist and I'm just claiming so I can sound like I know more about wrestling, I guess.
Yeah, that's such a cool thing with the new generation of wrestlers, is that there's this whole new generation. You hear that a lot about young guys coming up on wrestling video games almost more than watching it week to week. It's awesome how the business kind of changes like that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was good for getting me started into the oh, hold on, I got somebody calling me right now. Why are they doing this? Hold on, let me get back here. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
Should have told everybody to leave me alone during this time.
Everybody wants a piece. Everybody wants a piece of Brazy.
I don't know about that, but thank you. So gosh, yeah, I was saying that, yeah, my early fandom is rooted in a lot of like the video games, and then that kind of led me into watching it actually, and then eventually like I started becoming like a weekly viewer. So I definitely think that's like an interesting point that you bring up, because I never really thought about it like that. It just felt like I felt natural to me because I'm just like experiencing it, like, oh, I found a little bit about it. Now I'm watching it. Now I'm like a big fan of it, so I think that's like a cool way that you kind of like painted it, that it's like it was like a different style of like getting into it. That's cool.
Yeah, because like when I was a kid, I think it was a combination for me of seeing a wrestling figure and then seeing that guy on TV and being like, hold on, who's this? So it was almost like toys, and seeing those toys on TV that brought me into
okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Dang.
So what was the moment when you're a fan, you're interested in it, you're watching Amazing Red, AJ, Ray, Mysterio, like, but when was that moment where you're like, you know what, I don't want to just be a fan anymore, I think I want to do this?
Oh goodness. So I think like as a kid, I would say that like it's kind of like I don't know how everybody else was when they were a kid. When I was a kid, I always thought like I just wanted to do everything. So like anything I thought I wanted to do, like I would always think like, oh, I'm gonna be that. I somehow managed to think like I was gonna be like all these crazy things at once. I was gonna be like I was going to be like Deion Sanders or something. Like I was going to be like a 4-sport athlete or something crazy. So,
and then a doctor on the weekends.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to think about like how how to live the most crazy lifestyle possible. So, I would say like in a childish, not serious, just didn't understand the world kind of way, I've always wanted to be a wrestler. Like I was always like, gosh, this would be so cool to do. And I would go out on my trampoline and I'd toss my brothers around and we'd drop each other like on our heads and stuff like that, thinking we knew what we were doing. But I don't think I got serious about it really till I was in college. Actually, that was probably like when I first really like considered it. I was like, I always wanted to be like this growing up. Like, why not? Like, I'm still watching wrestling. I've been watching wrestling since I was, like 9 years old, or 8, 9 years old. I still watched it all through high school, and I'm still watching in college. I remember I'd be laying in my room watching Lucha Underground, and I'm like, I'm still watching this. I'm still enjoying it. Like, I kind of want to give this a shot, you know? Yep. And so I definitely say like college, late college, like junior year of college was when I really decided like, I think I might go for this, and we'll just see what happens. So that's where it is for me.
That's crazy, because you think, a lot of kids growing up, they think, oh, I want to be a wrestler, but very little actually make the decision, find a training camp, and really start going and doing it. So I'm always fascinated by you guys who make that decision and actually take that step, because I think that's a big leap of faith, and it's a big gamble, and putting yourself out there. I commend people for doing that.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, it's been quite a lifestyle change, I'd say, in a way, because I was the guy who didn't like especially like I look at today's era of wrestling with like how big social media plays a role, especially like as you're first starting out. like I didn't have it. Like I had a Facebook and I had a Twitter. I didn't use it though. I don't post stuff. I don't keep up with content. I didn't like care for that. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have an Instagram, didn't have a Snapchat, didn't have a YouTube channel, had none of that stuff, you know. So it's brought on some challenges in ways that like I hadn't anticipated. Like sure, like I understood like, oh, it's gonna be like physical and stuff like that, but there were a lot of challenges and things that I had to adapt to that I wasn't fully anticipating, you know.
Yeah.
Which I think makes it even more interesting.
How did your friends and family react when they found out you were making this decision? Were they supportive? Was there some that were skeptical? Were they worried you would get hurt? Like what was the reactions like?
So hey, stop doing that. Sorry, my dog is my dog is he hears something outside and he wants to know what it is. So stop doing that. Okay. So, yeah, so my family, I'm blessed because my family is very supportive of a lot of things that I've wanted to do and a lot of things that I've said I'm going to do and I didn't follow through. So they've always just kind of been like, you know, do what makes you happy, but just have like a plan, like have like a fallback plan, you know, don't put all your eggs in the basket per se, or in one basket per se. So when I told them, I was like, oh, I think I'm going to do this. I think like, I don't think they understood, and I at the time I didn't either. Looking back now, I don't think we really understood like what that was gonna look like. So they were kind of just like you know, go have fun with it, like try it. You know, because I gave them my reasons. I was like, oh, I'm young. I just want to, you know, like I don't have like a career lined up or anything yet. Like why not just go for this? You know, like
Right.
something I've always wanted to do. Just kind of throw caution to the wind and see how it goes. And so they were like really supportive of that. But they were like, oh, just make sure you got something kind of lined up behind you, ready to go. And yeah, I mean, I can't. There's the worries I'd say about like me getting hurt and stuff like that. I think those are at least, especially from my mom, just her motherly instincts. You know,
Yeah.
definitely wanting to make sure that I'm not going to be injured or crippled for life.
Right.
So there's always that little bit of worry, but I'd say generally, like, yeah, I'm blessed with a lot of support and a lot of love from my family.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So you have a background in amateur wrestling too. Now, did that play any role in you wanting to become a professional wrestler?
Yes, I'm kind of laughing because like this, because it's funny when I first started amateur wrestling, I started amateur wrestling in 6th grade. And I thought that like the two were like deeply connected. Like I thought like amateur wrestling and like pro wrestling were like it was like a stepping stone. You know, that's like how I looked at it. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna start with this basic stuff right here. Okay, we got to learn this basic stuff, and then they're gonna bring the ring out, and we're gonna start doing springboards and diving out of the ring and doing all that. You know, so like yeah, so very much that was like how that was why it started amateur wrestling, and because I thought it'd make my dad happy. I remember that my dad was an amateur wrestler in high school too.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, so I started with amateur wrestling, and then I'd say the transition into pro wrestling. I think it's like almost anything in life, really. Like there's definitely advantages to it. And people were fortunate enough to let me know, like, oh, it's so nice that like you kind of understand some of these concepts that we're trying to teach you. So amateur wrestling definitely did have like a big hand in some of my early training, I'd say, just because of the nature of the actual combat that's involved in it.
Yeah.
But there's definitely challenges that come with it, because I'd say like the main thing between like amateur wrestling and like professional wrestling, geez, I can't even remember what I do now. I'd say like the biggest challenges is like with professional wrestling, like, you know, there's like a crowd and people want to be like entertained and stuff like that. There's more layers to it. With amateur wrestling, you don't care about how people think. Your job's to go out and win the match. That's it. Nothing else matters. You got one objective. With wrestling, there's so many different layers to it. There's so many things you got to be on top of and keep in the back of your head and just be cognizant of, basically. So it's like it was very helpful in a lot of ways. But then there's also some things that you just can't prepare for. You just got to go out and do it, basically.
Yeah. So when you talk about, you in pro wrestling, you have to keep a lot of things in the back of your head. And when you were starting out, like training, the physical side, I think a lot of people think about the physical aspect of training, but what's it like to kind of figure out how to juggle all of those things in your head? What's the psychological side of learning pro wrestling like?
Oh man, this is, I mean, I don't know if I'm like a good person to ask this, because I feel like I'm so like novice in this area, but I will do the best I can. I think, I mean, I guess it really just depends on like what you're doing. And that's like the other thing I think too, like, because the beautiful thing with wrestling is that it can look like so many different things and still be good, more or less. There isn't
Right.
like one defined thing it has to be like good inherently.
Right.
So I mean, I guess just from my perspective, I guess I can kind of like go through my evolution and just kind of go to where I'm at now. At first, like, you're like kind of infatuated with like whatever got you into wrestling. So for me, it was the action
Right.
and
Yeah.
the moves and the athleticism. Those were things that got me into wrestling. So that was where I started a lot of like my desire and things that I wanted to do. So that I would go out in my matches and I would try to emulate those things. And then the problem would be that I didn't understand what I was doing. Like, I was doing the things, I was literally doing them, but I didn't understand them. I didn't understand why I was doing the things that I was doing. And I
Sure.
didn't understand why it was wrong for me to do something in a certain scenario versus when it would be correct for me to do something in a certain scenario. And I've been blessed, and we were kind of talking before the show about this. I mean, I've been blessed with some good teachers who have been able to pull me aside after my matches and say, okay, this is great, you can do this move and that move, and you can do this, but like, that's only going to get you so far. If you're trying to get to the next level, these are things you need to consider. These are things you need to be thinking of when you're out there. Like, these are things that have to become like so automatic. Like, this is the big stuff.
Right.
And that's kind of, I'd say, where my journey is right now. I mean, I know I acted like it was going to be this big long novel I was writing you guys, but really it's not. Because I'm still just so new to it all. But it really started out like that for me, where it was like, I'm going to do the things I like. Okay, but now I want to understand and I want to learn and I want to be good at this. Like, I want to be like, when I watch when I watch other guys wrestle, I want to feel like I'm at that same level.
Right.
I want to be good at this. I mean, I already said that, but really that's what it is for me. I just want to be good at this and I want to feel like I'm good at this.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I need to learn from these people who have done the things I want to do and be, or at the places I want to be at,
I think that's fascinating, though, that you were kind of saying that you're not in a place to talk about it because you're in that learning process of learning how to do the psychological thing. But I think that's what's so interesting about your answer, is that you're in that phase where you're figuring it out. So it's really fun to hear someone break that down, and you're getting that advice from other wrestlers who have been around longer. And I thought it was very interesting how you said, doing a certain thing at a certain point could be wrong one way, but doing it in another point could be right. And that's so true in just the psychology of wrestling. Like, you always hear guys talk about that. Seeing that you're kind of at the beginning of your journey, young in the game, do you ever have moments of doubt when it comes to the physical sides of it? Like, when you're very first starting out, when you're hitting those ropes for the first time or taking those bumps, did you have doubts?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I would say, this is, I think, the most interesting. I would say the most interesting, but it's probably the most funny part to me. the funniest part of, I'd say, my very early beginnings in pro wrestling is I alluded to it earlier. I'm very much into the high flying action, fast paced style of wrestling, and that was like what I wanted to be. Um, at training when I first started, I took a bump off of the second rope, and I said, "Yeah, I'm not doing any of that ever again. I'm never doing this." I said, "I'm never gonna do that. I'm not taking any moves off of the corner. I'm not gonna do any of these flips. I'm not gonna do any of this stuff that I like doing because that hurts and it is not fun." So yeah, so yeah, so yeah, it's like that was a lot. There's a lot of downtime. There'd be days I'd be hurting, and I would just be like I always kind of, I don't think I ever thought about quitting full on per se, but I definitely had moments where I was kind of like, man, I don't know about this. I don't know. I maybe I'm not going to be a high flying wrestler. Maybe I'm going to be like this kind of wrestler instead. I was trying to like define myself so early when I knew nothing really.
Right.
It was just, it was a little uncomfortable, and I guess I just wasn't comfortable with that level of being uncomfortable. So, but I pushed through it, and I found that it's it's kind of like some other things in life. There's some things you kind of gotta ride the wave, and eventually you'll get to the other side, and you'll be a better person for it. And that's kind of how I felt. At first it was rough, and I felt like it was painful, and it was there definitely some psychological and mental blocks that I had going on with some of the stuff, like learning it. But now I look back at that and I laugh. Honestly, I laugh because it was funny. It was funny. It's a literally funny story to think, oh, I'm never going to be a high flying wrestler. Like that didn't last very long. And then, and it's just funny to think like that I was so in my head about that stuff, because now it's like, it's just wild to look back on that. So
Yeah. How did you recently, you've wrestled for Impact Wrestling? And I know you'd mentioned you were a big fan of Motor City Machine Guns, specifically yes. Alex Shelley. And I saw on social media that Alex Shelley kind of shouted you out and saying that he wished he could have been there when you were debuting. What was it like to work for Impact, a place that it's Impact now, but we all know it was TNA. And right. You talked about that was the company that kind of got your fandom started. So what was that like, walking into Impact Wrestling with that history for you?
I mean, it's definitely nerve-wracking, just because of, for me, like it kind of just happened, so I was definitely nervous going in, admittedly more nervous than I wanted to be. I did a lot of like self-talking, like, oh, don't be nervous, you got this. And then I got there and I was still really nervous. So but I mean, I guess that's just how it was supposed to be. But it was, like you said, I mean, yeah, it's got that history. And then even taking out the history, I mean, just the guys who are there now, I mean, absolutely. These are guys that I immensely look up to. I mean, there's so many guys in that locker room that I've came across on the indies, or I've met in various facets. And I just look up to a lot of those guys. So that was like a locker room that I was like, man, this is so cool to be here right now with this level of talent, So it's kind of like, it's just a surreal experience, honestly. Like, that's like the best way to describe it. Almost like feeling like you don't belong in there, because it's like, gosh, these guys are so amazing. Yeah. And so it was very much like that. It just took me back. It's really one of those things that no matter where my journey takes me, I'm always going to be able to have that moment and say, you know what, that was cool. Okay, this is like, I'm glad I got to experience that. That's like,
yeah, that's awesome, man.
That's really cool.
So what was the atmosphere like at Impact?
Professional, cool, everybody's nice. I don't have a bad thing to say about it. It was literally just, everybody was super nice to me, very professional. A lot of people were willing to help me and give me advice. And yeah, I mean, I wish I could just keep going, but I mean, that's literally like the main synopsis of it is everybody is just incredible to work with, super nice, friendly, great environment. Like, can't say enough good things about it.
Did any you said advice. Was there anything anyone in particular said to you that kind of stuck out to you and you kind of held on to?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I talked to quite a few of the guys, especially the ones I knew. We talked before the show, like Larry D. I talked to Larry because Larry's always been there for me. He's a guy I can ask for good advice, and he'll be honest with me. He'll give
Yeah.
me legitimate feedback. Um, I also was able to talk to Rohit Raju. He say I had a match with him
It was a great
a few
match.
a few months ago, and thank you, by the way. And he's kind of been like a mentor to me since that moment as well. I can always go to him, and he's so kind because he makes it a point to watch that stuff for me. Like even if he's busy, even if he's got stuff going on, he makes it a point to uh, help me out and just take that time. So like he's phenomenal. Um, and one that I'll go a different route with this one. One person that stood out to me as well, just because I never met them prior to Impact, was TJP. Actually,
Oh yeah.
um, he he I ran into him at like right after my match, and he was so kind. Just with the things he said to me, I won't really go into detail, but basically he was just super generous and made me feel so good about myself. Like definitely gave me like a lot of useful things that I can use, and a lot of good feedback that I can carry with me. But he also, even though I never met him, he was just super welcoming, made me feel awesome.
That's great,
That's
man.
awesome.
Yeah.
What's so give us pre-pandemic or even during the pandemic, what is it like right now working the indies? Like what how's that been for you?
Yeah. So I remember before the indie or before the indies, golly, it's been a long day. Before the pandemic, uh, I was just kind of starting to change my outlook on what I needed to do. I remember I was starting to ride out to some different shows, try to get out a little more, try to travel. Um, and because I was wrestling a lot in Indiana, some in the Midwest, but mostly Indiana. And I said, I kind of want to branch out. I want to learn different things. I want to learn different styles. I want to meet some new people. So I finally started doing that, and it was interesting because my journey, I hit like a very low point, like where like my matches just weren't going like how I wanted them to, and I was feeling like I'm in a funk right now, you know. And then I started to hit this kind of like a 180. It started going up, like it just going up the hill. Everything was all my matches were going much better. I was feeling good. I felt like I was learning. I felt more confident. Things were just going that way, and then I was traveling, and then boom, the pandemic happened, and I mean that shut everything down. And you know, at first it was kind of like it was a bit depressing, I guess. It's how,
Yeah.
gosh, that sounds so harsh to say.
Oh
I don't want to
yeah.
be depressed, but um, but yeah, it was definitely rough at first, just because like I for me, I know I felt I was feeling good. Like I was like, okay, I'm like getting better. I'm learning things. I'm doing the things that I want to do, and then boom, it just got cut out from underneath everybody. Um, and then you know, and then things were kind of, you know, for lack of a better term, they were just not non-existent for a while. You know, like there was no
Yeah.
wrestling, not a lot going on. Uh, and then shows slowly started to come back here and there. And I was able to get some matches here and there. I guess I'd say the upside of all that though is I was able to, you know, get involved in other things and you know enjoy life outside of wrestling,
Right.
which is cool. Um, yeah, I'd say now it's kind of like now it seems like I don't want to say fragmented, but it is in a way because you know each state kind of has their own
Rules.
rules and restrictions. Indiana, we've been pretty loose, so it almost feels like normal, as weird as that sounds, but I know it's not the same
Yeah.
in the rest of the country. So it's weird. It's interesting. You know, it's a really unique time, especially because like at first, like everything was just closed down. Then it's like, okay, like these big shows are kind of running. Now
Right.
it's like certain states, some companies are running and some
Right.
places aren't. It's like it's an interesting time, but I think that looking at the big picture of it all, I think like we are so like lucky to be able to have any kind of work going on right now, given the circumstances. So I'm
Sure.
always thankful for any opportunity that me and my friends get uh, to go out and do what we love to do. Like we have to be so thankful for that in these times, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, you've worked for Game Changer Wrestling. I mean, they're doing huge things in the indie scene.
You definitely huge things.
Huge things. One of the top independent companies in the country right now. Even
Absolutely.
Black Label Pro puts on great
Mhm.
shows.
Definitely. Definitely.
So it I think we're all really excited to
Mhm.
for the bands to lift
Oh, yeah.
and wrestling to go full throttle again, and
Definitely.
in a safe way, obviously, but we're
Right.
ready for the independent scene to kick, because I feel like before the pandemic, man, it was so rabid. There were so many shows going on.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of wrestling.
Um, so for those who haven't seen you wrestle, explain to them who Braden Lee is inside the ropes.
Oh gosh. Oh man, this is like, oh my gosh, this is like, man, this is, you guys came with the tough questions today. Whew, okay. Um, gosh, because like it's a funny dynamic because like you're taught like, oh, you have confidence and kind of like put yourself over, you know, like
Yeah.
you know that's part of your job is to sell yourself, but I find that so difficult. So I don't know if I'm gonna have a good answer to be like, oh yeah, I'm totally awesome, you should watch me wrestle. I don't know if I have that. I'm just very much like I'm just a guy who tries to go out and I try to have the best matches. I mean, that's it sounds so simple, but I'm a competitor, I guess. You know, like I go out and I try to have the best match on the card every night. Doesn't matter who I'm against. Doesn't matter what the situation is. Like that's the kind of wrestler I am. I go out and I try to have the best matches I can. And I like to do a lot of action, a lot of moving. I mean, that's what I like to do. That's part of the all gas no brakes moniker is I just go, like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep going. I'm gonna test you, literally with cardio, but with other things too. Just keep going, you know, like that's what I'm about. Just
That's awesome.
nonstop going all the time, full throttle.
Do you have any dream opponents, that like current wrestlers, that dream opponents for you?
Yeah. So, gosh, I'm gonna be a bit no fun here because uh, I personally uh, don't like to voice that stuff because I don't, and I'm not saying like anybody who does this, like, so I hope like anybody who listens, they don't think like if this is a jab at them, because it's definitely not meant to be. It's
Sure.
just like personally for me and how
Right.
I feel. I don't I don't want to be given stuff. I like the feeling of earning things,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
especially in wrestling. So I don't want somebody to listen to this podcast and be like, oh, he said he wants to wrestle so and so, so we're gonna book him against so and so. You know, I want to
Right.
feel like I was put in that place for a reason. Um, don't really know why. That's just how I am. So I do have a list of people that I really admire and I want to step in the ring with. But I don't really like to share that stuff just because I
I
think that's
love it.
for me.
No, I think
And
that's awesome.
and and at the end of the day, and I kind of said it with the pandemic, but I mean it's so true. Like I am thankful and I'm blessed with any opportunity I get. It doesn't matter who I'm standing across from. Doesn't matter if we've wrestled 100 times. Doesn't matter if it's our first time. Like it is really such a great thing to be able to do that, to be in the ring with somebody. So if my dream matches happen, great. If not, then I'm sure I'm going to meet some fantastic people along the way and find out, you know, like find out other dream opponents that I didn't know that I even had. You know, I didn't know you were my dream opponent. Like so,
Yeah. What company, are there any specific wrestling companies right now you keep an eye on as far as like watching their product?
Yeah, so I watch a lot of New Japan just because of the style. The it's just my favorite thing to watch.
Yeah.
At the high level. I do watch AEW from time to time. And I watch Impact from time to time. And right now I'm on a Dragon Gate kick actually.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so I'm watching mostly that's what I'm watching most of is New Japan and Dragon Gate. And in terms of American wrestling though, I'm keeping up with some of like the New Japan Strong stuff, some of the Impact stuff, a little bit of AEW. Admittedly, I don't watch Raw and SmackDown right now. I should say it's kind of like anything. There's so much wrestling going on; it's so hard for me to keep up. So I don't watch a lot of Raw and SmackDown right now. But I try to personally mix up my content. I try not to get too complacent in watching just one. So that I'd say that right now, Dragon Gate, New Japan, and then a little bit of Impact and a little bit of AEW.
That's
well,
awesome.
the good thing about that now is that with doors open for each company, it looks like we're getting a lot of crossover. So looks like we'll get to see a lot of, you know, New Japan and AEW, Impact and AEW.
Yeah, and I like that. I think that I kind of forgot about that. So thank you for bringing that up. That's a good point. Because it might make it easier for people like me. The only reason I don't watch like I'd say other stuff is just because of the time, like working a full-time job. I have a fiance, my dog, like I have people I need to spend time with as well, so I can't just it can't be like that all the time. Plus going to shows and actually doing the wrestling myself. So there's just so much out there that like it's just hard to keep up with it. So I think this could be like a great bridge to kind of not condense the content because I mean there's still going to be plenty of it.
No, but that's a good point though.
To kind of like I kind of want to watch like I watch AEW and I kind of want to watch New Japan, but I just don't really have the time. And then now they kind of bring in some of the guys and now you get to kind of have a little bit of that feel. I think that's cool. I think
that's a good point. I never looked at it that way. I never looked at it that way, but that's a great point to bring up.
So, I think it might be cool. I mean, I know it'll be cool. It'll be cool regardless, just because of the matches. We'll see, but it might be good for some people just to have that exposure to the other products that they want to watch. So
what do you have any goals for your next 5 years in wrestling? What goals do you have for yourself?
My next 5 years. See, I know I said I don't share the dream opponent thing. But I don't mind sharing this because it's not too specific yet. My end goal in wrestling, and I hope it happens in the next 5 years, so I'll say it now, or I'll say it for this question, but I hope that my dream goal, and it's looking bleak because of the pandemic, but my dream goal is to be able to get paid to travel to Japan. Like I want to be booked in Japan. Doesn't really matter what company. It doesn't matter what company. I just want to be brought over to wrestle in Japan, and that's like my version of I made it. And
that's
I can be
awesome.
like I could walk away from wrestling extremely happy. But that's pretty much it. It's lofty now just because of the pandemic and stuff going on, but I'm hoping that once the vaccine's been distributed and stuff like that and people have gotten it and hopefully COVID is kind of cleared up by then, that in 5 years this is an obtainable goal for me. Even if it takes longer than 5 years, I mean that's fine. That's as long as I do it, that's going to be my big breadwinner.
That's awesome.
I think you're well on your way. I think your style would be very fun to watch it would fit right in with that Japanese style.
Oh, thank you. I definitely admire their style. And I think, like everything's kind of like a learning curve. So I don't really know what's going to be on the table or where, because things change all the time. But right now, like again, just got to be so grateful for like the opportunity to be wrestling at all. Cause like back in last March or last April, we weren't. So it's like,
Yeah. Well, man, before we let you go, we're going to do So this is our shoot sixer. It's 6 questions where you just shoot straight with us, just not rapid fire, but just give us 6 fun questions we like to ask.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say,
All
if
right.
it's rapid fire, I'm gonna say something. I mean, no, don't mean that. I don't mean that.
No, definitely not rapid fire. So first question, Kurt Angle or Brock Lesnar, who would you rather face in an amateur wrestling match?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh my. Holy moly. Gosh, is there a way to just like not? Can I just opt out of this entirely? I don't want this experience because here's the thing, like, you know, Brock Lesnar is humongous and he's a freak athlete, absolutely incredible athlete. And then Kurt Angle has literally wrestled at the peak, the highest level of wrestling you can get to, and won a gold medal. So like, you're not getting off either way. You know what I mean?
It's a horrible this or that.
Yeah, this is a horrible this or that. Gosh, you guys want me to die? Golly, what? I'm trying to come up with a strategic plan for either of them. It's just not happening though. There's no way around this. Oh my gosh, I have no idea. I'm gonna say Kurt Angle, because how many people can say they got beat up by Kurt Angle? So
That's true. Yeah,
that's why I'm gonna say Kurt Angle.
Right. Okay, number 2, the Montreal Screwjob in WWE with Bret Hart and Vince McMahon. Whose side are you taking, Bret Hart or Vince McMahon?
Man, I did. Gosh, these are real hard ones. Because I don't have a really strong opinion on this. Actually, I've never really thought about it. Man, goodness, I'm probably going to be the longest one. All these other people are probably going rapid fire with these. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to contemplate for the next 20 minutes about this one question right here.
Oh no, you're
because I got to think about this one. Oh my goodness, whose side am I on? I guess it just depends on who you believe, though. Like who do you believe? Like whose story is correct? Because because they paint the details very differently. That's like the big part of it, you know.
Yep,
it's not. We all know what literally happened, but we don't know why.
And I think that's a good answer in its own. That that you know whose side, it depends on whose side you believe.
Yeah, I mean, golly, I mean, maybe, I guess in the most slimmest of margins, like I guess I got to go with probably Bret Hart, because I feel like that maybe, given the circumstances, like I feel like he was just more wronged, I guess, in the scenario than anything.
Yeah. Okay,
so like I feel like there has to be some kind of like truth to his story. Not saying there's no truth to like Vince's side, like that side of the story. Not saying there's no truth to it, but I definitely can maybe understand or try to empathize with feeling like kind of blindsided by the situation. So I guess by the slimmest of margins, no opinion, no actual opinion, no hard opinion on that. I guess I got to lean towards Brett.
That question is always like, everyone has these different takes. Everyone we talk to, we've had people take Vince's side. We've had people take both sides. We've had a lot of people.
I like the both side. Whoever said that, it depends on what side, like what details you believe, you know? So I could see both, definitely.
All right, question number 3. You're known for all gas, no brakes. So my question is, which is more important, no brakes or no carbs?
Oh my gosh, you know.
Because we also know you haven't had a carb since 2003, I believe.
Oh yeah, that was the thing I used to say, wasn't it? So the definite answer now, because I can answer this one a little easier. The definite answer is no breaks is more important, because I know there are people who do like the keto diet and stuff like that, and they do the literal zero to little carbs
Yeah.
deal. But carbs is a macronutrient, and your body needs some. So you have
Gotcha.
to have some. You can't have literally zero carbs. You can have few carbs, but
Yep.
your body benefits so much more from at least having carbohydrates, because it's one of the 3 macronutrients your body uses. So I would say that having no breaks is definitely more important.
Question number 4. Does a straw have 1 hole or 2?
A straw. Wait. Like a straw you drink from?
A straw you drink from. Does it have 1 hole or 2?
I feel like this is a trick question.
It's a mental riddle.
Yeah.
Well, man, what?
I sat and pondered this question for a long time, and I don't even know if I
forget the Montreal screw job question. This one's going to be the one that holds me up. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh man. Geez. I'm gonna say, because here's the way you like, most people think about, like, literally it has 2 ends, so there's 2 holes. But if you look at it as just 1 hole that starts and then it continues and then it ends, I mean, that's kind of like 1, right? That's like,
Yeah.
I think one makes logically more sense to me right now.
So 1 really long hole.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
I think Nick Aldis said 1 hole, 2 openings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, what? What?
Yeah.
Wait,
yep.
so what do you guys think though? What is the consensus here?
I
Is
think
there
it's 1 hole.
1 really long hole, I think. Yeah.
One really long hole. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better. Then
Yeah.
I thought you guys were gonna be like, gosh, no, it's clearly obviously 2. What are you thinking
No.
of?
No, this is it. I mean, we could sit here for hours and argue this, I believe.
Yeah.
So question number 5, the pandemic's over and you're making towns again. You can have 3 wrestlers in the car with you, alive or dead. What 3 wrestlers are you taking on to make towns with?
Oh my gosh, man. Oh my gosh. I feel like this is kind of tricky too, because you also don't know how some of these people are, like, not saying they'd be horrible people. I'm definitely not trying to say that, but
Sure,
but
yeah.
everybody's got riding partners that are a little different. You find the people you like to ride with. Golly, this is hard. I guess I'm gonna have to base it off of who I just like look up to, basically. Who's just gonna starstruck me or keep me starstruck. Yes, that would be correct. Let's see, who would it be? Definitely Rey Mysterio, definitely 100%.
Awesome.
Goodness, I would have to say Red too, Amazing Red for sure.
I love
for
it.
sure. And then man, let's think outside the box here. I got to think about all the wrestlers in the world. Who would it be? Who would be the one at this point? Oh man, I would pick this guy because I would really like to dig into his mind, because he was such a trendsetter, I feel like, for the evolution of wrestling. Well, actually, there's 2 I guess I could go with, but I'm going to go with the one that I know speaks
We'll take
English.
them both. We'll put you in a van.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I would love to pick the brain of Ricky Steamboat.
Oh yeah.
And Jushin Thunder Liger.
Oh wow.
Ooh, that's a car, man. That's a car ride.
I would, because I like my guys who are a little more I guess modern, for lack of a better term. I'd love to just be a fan and be like, oh my gosh, you guys are so cool. Literally, you're the coolest people ever.
Yeah.
Don't know anything about you,
Yeah.
but you guys are so cool. I would love to be like that. And then, I think when you look at what kind of sparked some of my favorite wrestlers, you got to go back to those guys. I feel like they were
absolutely.
definitely very much in that. They were trailblazers, more or less. That's
Yeah.
how
And
I feel.
Steamboat's a genius.
Yeah, like that's how I feel. Like watching his stuff is so different from watching like other people around that time. It's so unique. So I'd love to kind of see it'd be a dream to hear him talk about like what his mentality was during that time. Like what's he thinking as he's coming up with some of this stuff, and as his presentation is so unique. So it'd be so cool to hear that, I think.
Yeah, that's a hell of a car ride.
Yeah.
And the final question number 6, what does it mean to be brazy?
What does it mean to be brazy? Well, I'll let you know as soon as I figure it out, because I'm still working on that part. But basically, like when I didn't like choose this name, it was like given to me. So like when I think like the idea behind it is just like I am kind of like I don't want to say a goofball, but like I'm a little bit of a goofball, but I'm also just kind of like I just do some dumb things, man. Like especially when I first started in wrestling, I would just take like really, really crazy, obnoxious moves and bumps just because, like just because, like
Yeah.
So I think that was like kind of where it started. I guess was just like this idea that like I'm a goofball, but I'm also kind of crazy, I guess. So it kind of like. Yeah, kind of like a loose cannon. I like that. See, that was more heroic. The way I say, I sound like I sound like very uninspiring the way I describe it. So I like yours better. I'm going to steal that.
There you go.
Loose cannon. I'm a loose cannon. All right, cool. That's how I'm going to describe myself. Yes, I'm going to use the loose cannon now. Yeah, definitely. I'd say basically for me that just means I'm going to do something wild probably.
Awesome.
Yep.
Probably.
Well, awesome, man. So before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you on social media, where they can find all of your content and stuff.
Definitely. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at BRAYDEN Lee. That's all my handles for everything. I do have a YouTube channel set up under my name as well. I need to get back on to posting it. Content on that. Actually, I haven't been very good about that recently. But I try to be active on my Twitter and Instagram and my Facebook page. So follow me at BRAYDEN Lee. Also plug in Game Changer Wrestling as well. We just got done with the Fight Forever show, which was amazing. Like it was so cool to be a part of history. So definitely plug in Game Changer Wrestling for all the cool things that they're doing for independent wrestling and just us as wrestlers, giving us work and allowing us to do what we love during this time.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, cool, man. We definitely appreciate you coming on. We look forward to watching you. We definitely look forward to watching you continue on with your journey. So you always have a seat here at the tavern with us.
Oh gosh, thank goodness. It was so much fun. Like really, like this has been one of the best podcast experiences I've had. So I definitely thank you guys for having me so much. It was a lot of fun. That. The questions were interesting. And I felt, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I was feeling really, really bad because I was like, gosh, man, I don't want to hold up their time, but these questions are life-changing, man. Like I never thought about some of this stuff before. So
the tavern's open. The tavern's open 24/7. You ain't taking up.
All right. Hey, yeah. That's what I like to hear.
Well, awesome, man. You have a great day and we'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah. Good luck to you, Brayden.
Sounds good. We will see you guys next time. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back.